Hello. So we are continuing with iteration number 4, and in this iteration we are going to try to enhance the user interface by providing labels. Three labels are two labels: one to provide the correct answer, incorrect answer; the other one is to tell the user where they are in the game, what turn it is; and then we're going to provide an image as well with the correct answer or the incorrect answer. This group of response to the user or message to the user upon their selection, they will need to appear and disappear as a result of a user action. If the user make a choice, then they appear. If they don't, then they disappear. So we're gonna explore how we can make some of the user interface component appear and disappear, and we're gonna see the effect of animating that in the view. Before we get into this particular part, in the previous iteration we worked on the end game in the alert view for the end game, and we realized after using the UI alert view that this is duplicated in iOS 9. So what would be the correct one, or the more recommended function or library to use? Duplicated mean that the Apple is no longer interested in supporting UI alert view, or that changes has happened, that a new library has been created that performs this function, and in a more in a better way that suits the intent of the new operating systems. So what they do, they mark the function for duplicated to notify the programmers that try to find an alternative and avoid using the alert view. It means it can continue being supported in future operating systems until they feel that most of the programmers and most of the apps no longer use the alert view, and now everybody switch it to the recommended one, which the UI alert controller. So let's take a look at this UI alert controller. If we go to Window, Documentation, and API Reference, and search for UI alert controller, you come here to this page, and it tells you a little bit the alert controller. It displays alert message, and it says this class replaces another library called UI alert view and UI action sheet. So you can see here why they went to this route. They had two classes for different things, and they wanted to unify that in one class. So that's what they did. And when you presented using this function, which is a generic function to present a view controller. It gives you here an example. So this is an example to display a message, and this example is written using Objective-C. And then how do you create an alert controller? There is an initialization message, one initialization message that takes a title, a message, and then the style. And the style is a constant. If you switch to UI alert controller style, it is this type in enumeration, or the enum. And that type has two items, so you can access these two values using alert controller style dot action sheet or dot alert, and it's an integer. It's a type integer, so perhaps this one will be 0, this one is 1, or 1 and 2, and 0 and 1, and then and it's a way of describing values in something that can make more readable in your program. So we'll use the alert controller. It requires that you add an action, and then the action will has a type of UI alert action. And if you click on UI alert action, you'll see that you can initialize an action with a string, which an action here is the button. When you see a dialog, this is the title, the game over here, that's the title of the alert. Your score is 30%, that's the message. and then what you see here, the OK, that is a button or action. So when the alert controller does not have actions or buttons by default, you can add them. The good news about this is you can create an alert controller with as many buttons as you want and provide what the behavior should be for each one of those buttons. The bad news is you're going to have to add an extra step to the creation of the dialog to define what buttons you want. In our case, I just want a simple button to dismiss the action or do the cancel event. The cancel event is you cancel the alert after you press the button. So the UI alert action takes the string, which will be what goes on the button, and then the style, and then a handler. What do you want to happen once you click on that button? The alert action style is another enumeration. It has a default, a cancel, and a destructive, and you can read here more about each one of them. Action cancels the operation and leaves things unchanged. So that's the one that we are going to use. So I already have under the function in the game, I already have two lines with the alert view. So we're going to comment these two lines out because we're no longer going to use them. And then use the alert controller instead. So let alert controller equal UI alert controller, and then the initializers. Here is the initializer. First, the title. What do you want the title to be? I'm going to use the same thing. The message. What do you want the message to be? And what is the style? So the style, we want the alert style. So I will use the UI alert controller style dot, and here is the alert. So that creates the alert controller. Then we want to add an action to the alert controller. So first we create the action, cancel action equal UI alert action. And you want the string. So what do you want the user to see here? I want the user to see OK, to dismiss. So I'll say OK. What's the style? So I'll say UI alert action style dot cancel. So we'll use that cancel, which indicates the action cancels the operation and leaves everything that we want. So we no longer need a handler. The handler can be any function that has the alert action. So we'll say no handler in here. So now that we created the action, we will add the action to the alert controller. Sorry. So alert controller dot add action, and then we add the action to it. And then finally present the alert controller. So we say present view controller. And what is the view controller we want to present? That's the alert controller. Do you want the presentation to be animated? Let's say yes. And upon completion, what do you want to happen? Nothing. You can provide a handling action or behavior to be executed at the time of completing the presentation of the view controller. In this case, we don't want to do anything. So the alert controller is very generic, can do so many different things, but as you can see, it included one or two more steps than the alert view. But this should not affect the way our game is operating at the end. It should still be exactly the same. So I play it quickly. And here is the alert controller. So this is the title. The title of the controller, game end. Here is the message, game over. The style is alert, so that's the shape that you see here. And in the action, the title of the action, which is this button here, that's the action. The title is okay, and the style is cancelled. So once you click on it, it cancels it and bring you back to where you were. So you no longer, so what we did is we re-implemented the alert dialog was using the new recommended method, the UI alert controller, instead of the UI alert view. So let's go back to what we are hoping to accomplish, which is adding these two labels and these two images. We're gonna have to have two images, one image for the correct answer, one image for the incorrect answer. For the label, I can have just one label and replace the string. And you can have the same for the image, but you're going to have to load the image from the file and it will add additional code. But if I add image view, I can use the storyboard to load the image into the image view, and I just display it and not display it. So we switch to the storyboard, and I'm going to dismiss the output screen, bring in the utility area, and let's start by adding the labels. So I want to add a label, and this will be my label for correct answer or of the message. So you can decide to give it certain colors if the message is correct or incorrect. And you can change that color dynamically, so you can easily say if the answer is correct. In addition to changing the title on the label or the text on the label, you also change the color on the label. And then I need to add another label that's gonna go below it here, and that's the label that will tell the user where they are in the game, how far along they are. And maybe I'll leave that as is. So these are two labels. Then I need to add image view. So I'll add two image views. I want to change the size a little bit because this is taking over the labels. So here is one label, so I'm moving it a little bit away from the image. So that's one image view, and I want to add two images. So to add images, you go to File, Add Files to the project, and then navigate to where you have the images. I have downloaded two images in my download, one with the X and one with a check mark for correct. So I'll add two images. And and then going to, yeah, it's gonna try to view the image for me. And there is a problem. The location is relative, and it did not copy the image into the project. Absolutely. So that's the images to the project. So I'm gonna delete those images from there and add them again and make sure that I say I want to copy them. So if you click on options, make sure you copy items if needed, and download. So I'll select both images. Make sure that copy items if needed is checked, and you can get that from the options, and then add. So I have the images now, and selecting the image view, you can select the image. So I'll say this is the correct answer. Then I need to add another image view that will be probably exactly right on top of that one, and I will put the incorrect answer in here. So making sure that this label is away from it and that label is away from it. Now the incorrect answer image need to be, all of these need to be connected as outlets, because for the images I'm going to make it appear and disappear. So how do I make it appear and disappear? remember from module number 2, we had a property called alpha. And when you put the alpha to 0, meaning you make the image completely transparent, so see what happens to the x disappears. If I put the alpha to 1, the x appears. So that's how we're gonna hide an item and make it appear and disappear using the alpha. Setting alpha to 1 will make the item appear. Setting alpha to 0 will make the item disappear. And the transition from 0 to 1, that's a transition in the value, and we're gonna animate that transition. So instead of abruptly moving from 0 to 1, it takes an animation to go from the 0 to 1, and you'll see how we're going to do that. So I'm going to set both alphas to 0, which we're going to make it difficult for me to find those components. So I'll open the document outliner, and the document outliner is is available and easy to use to access the different components. So I'll say to alpha 0, and then I need to also select the correct answer and set the alpha to 0 here as well. So as you can see, you can't see anything from the labels, but you can access it from the document outliner. So the next step is the two labels and the two image views. We need to connect them as outlets. So I'm going to hide these two areas and bring my assistant editor. And I need to connect the first label and connect that as an outlet. And we'll say this is the label and this is the answer label. This is where we say correct answer or incorrect answer. And then I'll go to the other label and connect that as well. And say label. This will be the turn. So this is label turn, because this is the one that's gonna say we are at turn 1, 2, 3. Then we have the correct answer image. So I will call this image correct answer. And the incorrect answer image, I'll connect it as an outlet as well and call it image incorrect answer. So I added four user interface components, 2 labels and 2 image views. So what I want to do next is when the controller determines that the answer is correct, we want to add title. Instead of logging the correct answer, we want to add that to the label. So instead of logging the correct answer, we'll add that to the label. So we'll say label answer dot text equal correct answer. Then if the answer is incorrect in the else statement of the check answer function, in the else statement, I'll say label answer. So it's the same label answer dot text, and then I'll say this is incorrect answer. Then we have here the turn counter. So I can also add the turn counter. So I'll say label turn equal, or label turn dot text equal, and then I need a certain string to display the turn counter. I want it to display like this: attempt 4 out of the maximum. So this is the current turn, and this is the maximum turns, and this is the text. So to do that, let's construct the text first, or since these are integer, I can do it with the concatenation of the plus. So I can say attempt, and then and then add the plus and inject the text using the text injection here. So I'll say the turn counter plus, or I can Probably don't need to do a plus. I can just do all of this together like that, and then over, and then add another injection for the maximum turn. So this is saying that use the text attempt, inject a value from this variable, use the text slash, inject a value from this variable, and that becomes the string that we want to display, which will look exactly like that string. You can also use what we've used before, the localized string with format function, and construct the string. The turn counter and the maximum turn, both of them are integers, so I'm not gonna run into a decimal point issue that will necessitate that I manage it with a formatting. The other part that I want to do here is to display the image. So I will say the image correct answer dot set alpha dot alpha equal 1 to display it. If the answer is incorrect, then I would say image incorrect answer that alpha equal 1. So that will take the image from 0 to 1 abruptly. So let's take a look at that. So here is the game. So we have to start it. So as you can see, the labels are not showing and the images are not showing. You start a game. Let's provide a correct answer. So we get the correct answer, we get the image, and it says attempt 1 of 3. Then it played the second note. And notice here there is the second note played, but the image did not go away and the titles did not go away. So we need to dismiss those. So if I say an incorrect answer, that the image appeared and it is on top of the other image, and the attempt is showing an incorrect, will switch from a correct to incorrect because we show it. But now the two images are appearing on top of one another. So if I do correct answer, because the correct answer is showing below the incorrect image, even though the answer is correct, it is the correct answer image is hidden beneath the incorrect answer. So to fix this, what I need to do is, once the user saw the answers, both with the image and the correct answer, we need to reset the text to empty and the alpha back to 0 once the sound has played. So the sound plays in the play game. So I will need to go to the play game and reset the titles, reset the images. So if I can go to the play game, and before, once we can do it when we check if the turn is less, probably do it in the beginning. We say number 0 here, I need to reset the turn. So the best way, since reset the turn is a different function by itself, or a different concept or behavior, we can put it in a function. So I say reset turn, and then let's add a function called reset turn. So I go outside the play game to a function called reset turn. And in the function reset turn, I will reset the label. So label answer dot text equal nothing. Label turn dot text equal nothing. And then finally set the images. So image correct answer dot alpha equal 0, and image incorrect answer dot alpha equal 0. So let's run. So I feel playGame will look much nicer if we clean up the code in the play sound and put it in a function called the play sound. Perhaps we should do that. So here is the correct answer. And once you play the sound, we come to the reset the turn. So once you display the answer, we wait 3 seconds, then play the playGame function again. So the playGame function is played again. So you come to the playGame function which says reset the turn first, which resets the label and the images. So that's why they both disappear. Then we make an incorrect answer. It shows. Then you wait the 3 seconds and you call playGame again, so it resets. So we make an answer. It shows, and then the 3 seconds come back, but now the number of turns are completed, so you see the game over, the end game. Before I go and clean play game, you notice that the image shows abruptly from 0 to 1. So if we want to animate that display of the image, we put the image inside an animation block. So set an animation block. So we say UI view begin animation. So the UI view begin animation will start an animation block. Remember when we set up an image context in project number 2, module 2, the extra credit, if you done that, we had to create a context. So we begin a context and end the context. So animation is the same. So we mark the beginning of an animation block with the begin animation, and we mark the end of the animation block with the commit animation. So I will say begin animation, and then you can give it an ID. You can say nil here because there's nothing, but we'll give it a name if you want to access that animation block later on. So we can say that image or answer anything, and the context is nil. Then after we're done with the animation, which is going to happen here, we end the animation block or commit it. So we say UIView.commit animation. What's inside the animation block is this. And I believe we can indent to put it inside the begin animation and the end animation. And I got this from the editor and the structure and shift right. You can set some animation properties. So we say UIView.set animation. And there are different properties for animation. Animation begins from constraint, set animation curve. If you want to animate over a curve, a delay, a delegate, meaning after the animation is done, you can go to that delegate, stop selected, duration, how long do you want to animate it? So duration will mean fast. So here I want to animate from 0 to 1. 0 to 1 for the alpha, so you can say duration, how fast or slow you want this to go. I am giving 3 seconds wait, so it has to be less than 3. So we can say, or you can have it the full 3, so we'll say 2. So it's going to take 2 seconds for the animation, for the image to go from the 0 to the full 1. So we're animating that transparency. And you can set other properties as well if you would like. So we start again. So you see here, if you notice, the label will show first, and then the image will take its time to appear and disappear with you. And it makes it just look smoother than that. So we added the images, we ended the game. So I think we are ready to move on to the next iteration. But before I do that, I feel since I am cleaning all the code and every function has only one purpose, I feel that the playGame currently has 2 purposes. and it's delegating to reset turn, it's delegating to end the game, and it needs to delegate that part to a play sound function. So I'm gonna go here and create a function called the play sound, or play random sound, or play random note, and I'm gonna take all this code from here, and I'm going to put it in the play random note. And inside the play game, I'll basically call play random note. So now playGame has only one function, which is playing the game and managing the turns. So in the beginning, it resets the turn. It checks if the turn counter is less than maximum turn. If that is true, it delegates to play random note, that then selects the random note and brings in the URL, initialize the player play, and sets the current note and log it. The log is just for us while we are developing. And then goes to the end game, and if the turn is done, then it goes to the end game, and in the end game we display the alert, and when the user goes to check answer, they go through comparing, we display the result, we wait 3 seconds, and then go to play another turn. So that's I think we got everything done, and that should not change anything in the program. I was just organizing the code. So the start, we play, and then the game over. So that ends iteration 4, and we'll move on to iteration 5, where we calculate the score.